Hello. Hi, everybody. So I'm so glad that we are all here again this year. And so the conference is starting soon. So I would just give a very, very brief briefing or opening, I don't know, to everybody. And Thomas is with us. This is my teddy bear. So let's see. Pyjamas Con. Yay! Hello, I'm Chuck, and this is Pyjamas Con. And this is actually our 4th year, if we count the first Brazilian edition, and then we have the global edition after that. And so it will be a 24-hour streaming, so you'll be here with us a lot. But feel free to hop in and out, depending on, I know that you may want to sleep at some point, or you want to do other things, that's fine. But we'll be here most of the time for 24 hours, so that will be a long haul with us. Also, I think for me, the most important thing in the conference is the code of conduct. So we have a code of conduct for this conference, even though it's online, but we want to make sure that everybody is nice to everybody. So please check it out. It's on our website. And schedule is also on our website. We have a lot of amazing talk this year. We also try something a little bit different this year. As you can see, we have some talks, and that is not in English. So because we want Pyjamas to be a global community thing, so we try to include some other contents that is not speaking in just one language, which is English. So we do have a Spanish talk by Christian, and also an Italian talk by Patrick. So, if you speak that language, please, you feel at home watching those talks. So also we'll do something a little bit different this year. We'll have Pyjamas Retro. We choose a few talks that is very popular in the past, and we will play them again. So if you see there's the retro in the title, in the schedule, that's actually our retro talks, and they're very, very good talks. So you can watch them again with us this year. And also, we have something very exciting this year. We have Jason, one of our friends that has been supporting us for years. He had this amazing book, That is Simple Python. So if you want a copy, I think it would be a soft copy, but details will be announced later. But with that link, you can enter the raffle. They just fill in your contact detail, because we need to let you know if you win the book. Also Jason will be online later today, because he is based in the American time zone. So, but he will be with us later today. So also he will be giving a talk as well. So make sure that you get a ticket, enter the raffle, and then maybe interact with him later today. So last thing that we try, because we always try something new in pajamas, we have merch shop. So in the past years, people always ask like, oh, pajamas, can I get any merch, of pajamas, or like, can we have, because I think people really love having merch that they can wear. And also, are we selling pajamas? No, we are not selling pajamas, but we do have a pajamas merch. And also all the items on the shops, actually the conference itself doesn't make any profit from it. So of course the shop would charge you to buy the merch, but the price we try to keep it as low as possible. So it's just for people who really want a pajamas merch, then go ahead. So I think that's the end of this opening. And of course, last thing I want to remind everybody is that there are previous years, we have Discord channels that feel free to go and join us and chit chat. Also ask speakers question. We have a ask speaker channel. So when you're listening to a talk, you can try asking question there. If the speaker can see your message either after the talk or maybe later, then they can try answering your question. So so I think that's it. So but because we still have time before our first talk, we have our volunteers here. So I would like to introduce them on stage. So we have Martin and Christian. Hello.
Morning.
Hello.
So you're up early and cheerful as ever. So that's going to be great. Can you really imagine? This is the 4th time we're doing this. So isn't that strange?
I can't believe it. It's like, so many things happen, just like every year, just like, okay, it's time for pajamas and we have to do it. And so yeah, and also this year is the first year that I'm not at home actually. So this is my very cozy home away from home. I'm in a hotel room actually. So
yeah, but that still works. And of course, you can't put the emphasis on this big enough. We're doing a whole day again. So we had so many speakers who came in and said, oh, we're going to do something on pajamas. We're going to help you, because without all these speakers that donate their time, this would not be possible. So I really have to thank everybody who spent time to come here and think, oh, it's pajamas again. We're going to do this again. And of course, the other thing is, like, we had, I think you've mentioned that it's possible to donate and support, but we already had loads of donations, and we managed to finance everything, the licenses from the donations from the tickets alone. So during the day, we will, because not everybody is here at the beginning, we will thank all people who have donated with the ticket purchase, because you actually paid for the thing. So well done.
Yeah, because at the beginning, Pyjamas is an online conference. We want to make it, accessible. So we are not like forcing people to pay, but we have a pay what you can kind of mechanism. So, if you want to pay, you can pay. Also, we would do some accounting, after the conference and see, if, I'm pretty sure that we will make a profit. So if we have a profit this year, we will donate them to the PSF, which, all of these detail will be announced after, because now I just don't have the bandwidth to do the accounting right now. And also the ticket sale is still open. So you can still buy a ticket if you haven't got a ticket and you're just watching the live stream. Yeah.
So Christian, good morning.
I am not a morning person. But that was fair enough. I got my nice teacher.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, if you see me fall asleep at some point, it's okay.
Sorry?
If you see me falling asleep at some point.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is we do have the important talks recorded, so that that will work.
Reliable speaker.
How long did you work on that yesterday? Because I think you were up quite late.
I did. I thought when because Chuck was mentioning before, we have these non English talks, and but they will have subtitles in English,
yes.
so people don't need to run away. But subtitling videos is really difficult, because also I noticed that I mumble a lot. So many times I was like, and then I was like, whoa, the AI was not powerful enough to try to understand what I was saying. So it was tricky, but I'd say that a couple of hours at least reviewing
Yeah,
all
that
subtitles.
was really a fun thing. Like when we decided to do this year, to have like something thrown with subtitles. Oh, that's gonna be work. So that
Yeah.
was really interesting and such a fun thing to do. Like me on the other side from yesterday to research how to do that, and at some point I'll have to write an article on that so that other conferences
Yeah,
can
so
profit
share
from that as
the
well.
experience a
So
little bit.
that's going to be fun. And of course, we will see like later on. I think you can watch the subtitle talk. Let me look at my list at 1500. So UTC. That's
UTC.
4 o'clock in the afternoon here in Spain. So if you want to check how well we done on this, you have to come and see it. And it's a fun talk. I've seen it a couple of times now, so it's good.
Poor Martin, like
funny,
in
'cause
repeat, just to verify.
Because before, I was very idealistic. We thought, oh, we have AI and stuff, but actually, it doesn't work so well because we are human. We don't speak perfectly
Exactly.
all the time. We have accent. We speak fast. We speak slow. Whatever. And
Yeah.
so we end up, not
And
having the AI generated subtitle that works well. But luckily, here the three of us speak various levels of Spanish. I'm totally useless. And, so we do manage to have some manual translation, but if we do it in a massive scale, I don't think it will really work in a short period of time. So we were kind of lucky to have.
What helped me a little bit, and maybe will help maybe the English viewers, is that I wrote the slides in English as well. So most of the ideas are also in the slides. So I think that people have no argument just to skip it because there's another language. So
no, actually, it might be more interesting because you get to pick up some Spanish and learn some.
learning Spanish at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah,
for the price
Spanish
of
is
one.
like after English the biggest language in the world. So
Yeah.
basically, if you speak English and Spanish and you put that together, that actually tops the most spoken language in the world. So
We have like
you
a
you
large-
you need to be able to speak that. Yes.
So Martin, how long have you been learning Spanish?
Oh, I've been learning. I've been working for Spanish companies and always avoided learning Spanish. So I picked up a few words, but nothing. And then I did this well-known bird app, and I've been doing this for 200 days now. And I did learn enough to be able to follow what you said without the subtitles. So I don't get everything, but I can sync that. I can understand many things. So, like, if anybody thinks like, oh, learning languages with one of these apps that force you to do it every day is not useful. The apps are not very good, but it throws you into the water. It teaches you a little bit. So if you think like you want that, then maybe look at these things.
Yeah,
So-
we are not sponsored by them anyway.
Oh,
but
by the
I'm
way, yeah,
also on the same
we are
app.
all we're
I'm-
just users, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm not mentioning the name.
Yeah,
but
I'm half of your journey. I'm 117 days now with when I started and doing it every day. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chuck already gave a. I mean, did you know, Martin, that Chuck gave a lightning talk in Spanish in PyCon Spain? That was really impressive.
I've not heard that, but I think that it is doable. And I don't know if you've been to the EuroPython where we had
I
the
couldn't.
Japanese go doing like the last in-person one in Basel. We had a very nice woman from Japan. Her English was also so-so, but she did a lightning talk and it was awesome. So like if anybody
Basil, that was yeah.
yes, and that was
2019.
really that was really impressive. So yeah. Anyway, everybody who feels motivated to learn some other languages, do so because it's useful. Like everybody here, like on the screen, has some non-English mother language. So we already know
right.
how to. Yeah, now we already know how to do like 2 languages, and I know some people watching this can only speak 1 language, and they maybe can not really understand how that feels if you can do 2. So I just can say from my own experience, it's super useful to have another one because you get to check on your first.
Yeah. And I travel a lot, and every time I wish I know what people are saying, right? So
Yep.
Yeah, that's also I mean, motivation when I am on the train trying to see what they are
yeah,
talking about.
they may be talking about me, so I need to know.
Yep. So I saw your teddy bear already. Did you mention the name?
Oh yeah, my teddy bear is Thomas,
Thomas,
and
yes.
this is the small one. If you look at some of the old videos, I have a big one at home. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I have two teddy bears. They're brothers.
Yeah, I brought some as well, but I usually bring my Fin, which
Oh,
is a cute thing. It's from a 90s video game. It's half bird and half dolphin, so it was like the first artificial intelligence you could get for your UPC. And I also like, because this guy does not really like the green screen, I brought my other twos, which is my panther.
oh,
So,
that's so
so
cool.
this is like from a German famous company called Steiff. They have been making these for 100 years. So this is a very nice panther, and I also have my pet flounder here.
So flat. It's flat by design.
Oh my god.
Yep. So yeah, and I can see, Christian, you have at least a pet plant in the background, so that's good.
I know I do have a pet. It's
Oh, show,
here.
show. We still have a few minutes to waste, so why not show it?
It's
Oh,
I
oh,
got
you have the
this.
snake.
It was a really nice
Awesome.
gift from the PyCon Spain
Oh yeah,
organization,
the Pyjamas Spain one.
and it's called
Ooh.
tapa. The people in Spain will understand what tapa means.
Oh, you're not gonna eat it, right?
Exactly. So yeah, I will have my pet as well here to
Oh,
be with me during the whole conference.
yeah. Well, this is the coziest conference, and one thing we learned from the 4 years of pajamas is that not only can you do a conference from your bedroom, you don't even have to dress up because you can just stay in your pajamas, and that's what you can get nowhere else.
Yeah,
Exactly.
unfortunately, I don't have my pajamas with me because I always travel with just one backpack, right? Well, most of the time I travel with one backpack, so I only bring clothes that I have to wear, which is like going out. So I don't have pajamas,
So you're
and the
well
hotel
dressed.
doesn't have the gowns. I don't have anything.
Yep. So I just saw that a few more people are coming in on YouTube, and I just want to remind you that like in 10 minutes we're going to get a little bit more serious, because the the whole thing, the first talks start
Yeah.
probably at 10 UTC, and then we are going to, with a little bit of lunch breaks, gonna go for the whole day. So that's going to be quite interesting. And we really invite you, if you're watching this, to either type in the YouTube chat, or if you can sign up for the Discord, contact us that way. Like we're gonna watch both of those things and see if there's some questions or comments in there. And it's
Yeah.
also like most of the talks here are live. We have more live than recorded talks over the whole day. So if you ask questions, you really get like a contact to the speaker. So you can ask them something, and that works. And Christian also typed something in. Oh no, sorry, that was not public.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our secret chat, by the
So
way.
we have our own little secret chat, and which is also nice. Okay, back to you, Choke. So let's see. Do we have anything else that we need to announce?
Yeah, just one last thing that if you are on Discord, feel free to use self-introduction to say hi, make some friends. That's one thing I really love to do when I go to conferences, to make friends. Well, we are online conference, so the best thing you could do is Discord. So go there, introduce yourself, and maybe people who have similar interests will, you can kind of talk to each other. So you can say, your name, where you're from, and which area you're working on. For example, I'm working on back end, I'm using Django, I'm doing data science, machine learning. So people know what to talk to you about with the topic. So yeah, I think is more or less time we can kind of take a short break, and then so Martin will be the first host, right? For
That's
the
correct. Yeah.
next talk. So yeah,
And then
so
we'll wait for the first speakers to show up. I hope we have everything set up properly. And I'm just going to go and check in the Discord if they're already lined up. So
yeah. Do you want to take a break,
let's.
Martin, and Christian and I can have a chat while you are?
Yes, exactly. I'm going to go off screen and organize for 10 o'clock, and I'll be back with you shortly. And maybe
Yeah.
you'll talk a few minutes with Christian. And then you get to rest because you have to do a very late shift. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm also why I'm not at home is that because I'm joining another event and give a workshop at a secret location. Can I disclose? Actually, like we can cross promote, right? Because I will be
Right.
at Pi Day Barcelona, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm in Barcelona
That's
right
nice.
now.
Yeah. Well, many people were started to join early this morning. I think like 1, 2,
Yeah,
3, 4,
it's
5, 6,
actually
7.
yeah, their workshop that's starting, but my workshop is in the afternoon, so I would go after, and basically Martin will be your
Good.
host this morning.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. I don't know. Did you manage to have breakfast already, Chuck?
Yes, actually, I
Oh.
did have breakfast. I especially bought the breakfast at the hotel because I know that I would need them to give me energy. I also get a lot of snacks. This is not
Oh,
sponsored by them,
nice.
by the way. So anyway, snacks is needed. And also drinks. I have all the stuff I need to
You're
give
well
me
prepared.
sugar.
Yeah, I also managed to have some breakfast now, but yeah, let's see.
Yeah. So we have some highlights for today. Let's see. The next talk is async database, and then we also have some other talks later today. I haven't prepared to show them yet, so I'll just stick with this one. And also, like today, we also have lots of different things. Again, like if you haven't seen this yet, we have raffle. This is to win a Python book. We all here because we love Python or want to learn Python. So Jason, our friend, he will show up later today. So he's giving away his book. So this is a really good book, and yeah. You have to get a ticket to join the raffle, by the way. I'm reminding you. So you can still register a ticket. You can register for free, or if you want to donate, you can also get a ticket with how much, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we still have like some time to go, baby. We can have
Yeah.
we are not morning person. We would
I think that speakers already coming here and everything.
Yeah, everything looks fine. Like we have our first speaker. That's why with the live talks, that's always a fun thing to worry about. Like, will the communication chain work? Will the speakers all be on time? So I'm really glad that we're all set up, and we can kind of promise you like that we'll actually have a talk at 10. Yeah. So that's all settled. And by the way, I had my breakfast as well. So. And everybody else, like you have 8 more minutes to go run, grab some tea, coffee, or something to enjoy this.
Depending on the time zone, right? And maybe some people are really having a party still. Maybe San Francisco is around 2 a.m. Maybe someone will join.
They might drink something else. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're global, so people can, join at any time. So. Let's see. Oh, by the way, there's actually also I know in the US it's the Thanksgiving, so there will be Black Fridays and other stuff that's going on.
Right.
Yeah, that and then, but they had their Black Friday shopping opportunities yesterday, so today they have time for this, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it is in Spain or the UK, but in Germany they're trying very hard to make Black Friday happen. So.
Yeah, we have that in UK as well for the Black Fridays. A lot of big shops, they're doing discount and stuff. So I think it's my chance to grab some something that I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
wanted to buy.
It's quite stronger here. I mean, also these retail online famous platform also did a full week of whatever discounts or whatever. I got like even on the bus stops here, the S-Bahns and everything, where everything was filled with the week and all these offers, whatever. Anyway. Oh yeah, we have more people saying hi in the self-introduction channel on Discord. Remember, if you are watching this and you haven't join the Discord, and also say hi and let
Yeah.
us know where are you joining from.
And we
So we
also
have we have an early bird here. Samantha Hack is joining from Brazil.
wow.
Well, she said that she's from Brazil.
She's
joining
we
from
don't
Brazil.
know yet if she is from Brazil, but
So yeah, if Samantha you are watching, you need to clarify it. No need just to see how early is there. How early will be in Brazil? I think they're also like 5 or 6 in the morning.
yeah, it's
Something like that.
very good. Okay, so I'm going to go away for 3 more minutes, and then I'll come back, and then we get this conference started, I guess. Okay,
Yeah.
see you in 3.
See you in a bit.
then.
So for those of you who were super early, we have some small clips that will play in between times like this. If we don't have two person here chit-chatting, it will be less interesting, right? So we do have some videos that is just like little short promotional video. And the music is really, really like brainwashing. Actually, fun fact, like yesterday I was like, preparing the last minute preparation with Martin and stuff, and Martin requested those videos to be based. I was like, okay, of course we need those videos, and then he requested to use the same music that we used last year. So I'm a bit scared of the music. So I mean, we prepare, you will hear the music a lot. You may love it, you may not. So, but I'm sorry if you keep hearing the music in your brain after the conference. Just so you know, I am on the same boat with you. So.
But maybe it will trigger good memories from the conference. So
yeah,
maybe they
like
will
Martin,
have
I feel like he found off the music. That's why he requested it.
Oh,
So
by the way, Chuck, I mean, Samantha clarified, and she is joining from Brazil. It's not even 7 a.m. there. So, yeah, kudos for joining so early.
Yes. It's going to be really challenging for me when it go to the midnight of the European time zone for me.
Exactly.
So, but we will see how I survive. Just try not to have too much tapas here. I don't know. Like I still haven't sampled the food here yet. I just arrived and was working for Pyjamas yesterday, and I unfortunately my first dinner in Barcelona is McDonald's, which is very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, because that's the easiest accessible
But maybe
restaurant.
you will have some time now in your workshop, maybe to go out and
Yeah.
try the local cuisine there. It's one of my favorite things. It's not a like super amazing dish or whatever, but it's something called patatas bravas, which is like it's not fries because they're cubes. They are cut in cubes, and then they put a sauce on top of it. What they call this called like salsa brava inside on top of it, and it's a little bit spicy. I really like it. So I mean, if you have an option, if you want to eat some fries, you ask for patatas bravas, and that will be
Patatas slavas?
bravas. So
Blavas.
like brave, but
Okay, I don't know that word yet. I'm still like kindergarten level.
It's fine, but you will see it. You will see people eating this. I think it is the most common, and besides all the seafood as well, right? So you have the chance maybe to have some little fish and stuff. So
Yeah, sorry, like the chat. We are turning it into a travel guy because Christian has been to Barcelona many times, and I'm the first time, so I'm asking for advice. And there are places that I've seen that the top 10 place to visit in Barcelona, and I only seen them in pictures. I have seen nothing. Yesterday
you need
I
to
just
drop
checked
by.
in and stay at the hotel to prepare. So I haven't try and see anything yet. So
To be completely honest, I have been in Barcelona for many, many times, but I have never entered the famous places there. I think the only one it was the Park Güell, but La Sagrada Familia, I have never been.
mm,
I only pass. I walk by like next. I said, "Whoa, it's really impressive," but I never enter. People say that it's really beautiful inside, but
yeah, I want to do that. I'm definitely trying to do that before I go home. There are also a few places that I want to go, but we'll see if I have time because I'm here actually for work, not for not for sightseeing, unfortunately.
you can work while
Um,
you're sightseeing. You can
yeah,
open your laptop and work around.
yeah. So I will try. I will try have good food. Have tonight. I don't know. Maybe I don't have much time for cerveza,
Mm,
but I would. Yeah, I would maybe try after the conference.
for sure. I think that
Yeah.
they are still trying to figure it out the configuration for
Yeah,
the
there are
first speaker,
technical
but
issues. Technical issues is everywhere. I even like make a short, video that is there is some fire burning. I don't know whether you have seen that like in the
I
trial.
haven't.
But you will see that later today.
On
Maybe
the,
Martin will use it. Like technical issues. Be right back. So
I remember when once we were organizing a conference in Chile that we paid a designer to give us many things to use, right? And we finished the conference, and then when I noticed that we never used the technical issues because we didn't have. I mean, when we had one, we tried to solve it, right? We didn't use like the image. So at the end of the conference, I mean, there is the recording there that I just put it there because okay, look at it because I mean we didn't use it, but we pay for this design, so you can use it. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, sorry, I'm following the chat to see if the problem got resolved. But Martin is working really, really hard on it, and it always happen in-person conference, online conference. Things always happened. But luckily we are here. We can chat a little bit more. Hello,
Okay,
Martin.
good.
How's the situation?
Hello. I don't know yet if we have really problems or not. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to ask our first speaker on the stage, and we'll find out because he can see himself, but we
Maybe
can't
a
yet.
bug.
But it might be a bug, so I'm going to click add to screen, and we'll see what happens. And I'm seeing
The loading button.
loading button. So something
could
is not
be-
right.
It
Or
could
maybe
be
the other way.
network issue. Well, by the way, this is like live problem solving.
This is this is live, but hey, that's the fun thing. And
Can you say hi, maybe, Yasser, and see if we
yes,
can hear
your
you at least?
microphone is on.
I feel like it's the network issue, maybe.
Okay, so this is I think Yasser just chatted that he could hear us and see us, so it's
Yeah, we
might
cannot.
be a network thing that might be on the computer side, but this yeah, well,
Yeah.
we are depending on him trying out things. So what usually works is to shut down the browser and and just come back in again,
Yeah,
because
have you
at the moment this is not working.
Yeah. You
Which is
try
a bit of a
switching it
shame.
off and on again. It's always...
Yeah, so exactly. Turn it on and off. The good thing is that we have little breaks in the schedule, so at some point we can afford to run late a few minutes. It's not. I had a similar thing like on the second last remote, EuroPython, where we had issues as well, and somebody was using Firefox instead of Chrome, and it was not working, and we had to make decisions on time, and we had the big assembly like 1 hour later. So, like, what are you going to do now? Are you going to cancel the thing? Are you going to say start in the broken middle? And then the next speaker actually had a time zone problem, and this speaker then forgot to show up at all. So from having no time at all, we suddenly ran to, oh, we need to fill 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
This morning I didn't notice. I mean, I like that the schedule is in UTC, but I just blindly saw, oh, 9:30. Okay, I need to wake up.
yeah,
And then I went there and it was like, I don't know, more than 50 minutes to start. And I say, wait. And then I check it. Say, oh, time zones. Yeah, time zones are complicated.
Yeah, I have actually. So yeah, I always want to see if we can change the website so it showed the local time zone for people as well, but haven't sorted out. It's beyond my, it's not an easy fix. I need someone who is more like front end developers to help me out. But what I have shared internally is a Google Calendar that people can add it to their own calendar and show it in their own time zone. So that's what I am doing. So that's how I double check the right time for my local time, that I'm doing the right stuff. Yeah, it's so weird. Like I don't understand why like the ad thing does not work. Ad blocker. That may be some issues that we may have to raise with StreamYard in the future.
Yeah, but it's weird. The situation at the moment
this is really weird. Yeah,
speaker can see it's himself, and then we cannot see him.
Maybe it's also a rights issue because it could be that the guests can't get in because we're all admins, aren't we?
No, but even if you, I can try to enter as a guest, for example.
Yeah,
no,
actually,
there was actually another
yeah.
speaker.
Can we? Maybe we can send a new invite to Yasa.
There was another speaker here earlier today, and
Yeah, I saw the others also working. So,
I will give it a live try. So I will leave this stream here and try to join as a guest on the other.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's what. Sorry.
No, sorry.
No, there was nothing. It was just time delay. So guest Christian comes, and of course with the camera. Well, it would not be a fun computer problem to solve if there is no camera. And I also see a screen share from Christian coming up. So I could add that to stream, but I'm not going to do it. But yeah, this is
you can chat with them having issues, and then you can chat with them and see if they can resolve it.
Yeah, the worst case is the talk topic from Yasser is async databases, so it might be a async talk. So if we really can't get this to work, we will ask to record it later and upload it. But I'm still hopeful that we'll manage to get this to work on his side.
That's a good start, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the guest Christian, yes, and of course we can see the guest Christian. And hello, that's Christian, the guest. We can't hear him yet, but the guest microphone. No, you can do face expressions, but we can't hear you. I'm sorry. Somebody's typing.
Still?
No, now I can hear you. Yes, perfect.
Okay.
So,
cool.
and
so I don't know. Yes, sir. I mean, it's really weird. But I enter in guest mode on the. I went to the incognito mode on my browser just to avoid any other configuration. And
yeah, and it still worked. And the only thing that Yasa is on the chat and saying, oh, he doesn't know why this is happening. Yeah, we are also a little bit stumped with this. But that's a thing. Actually, what you could try to do is Choco could maybe leave this and go into the test room, and that you could just go into the test room and to see if it's just this room. So
I have actually the chat with the live support from StreamYard. I see if they can resolve this.
Oh, you tried mobile data? Yeah, it's probably a browser thing, or it might even be a StreamYard thing. So in that case, not happy. And I hope this is going to get resolved for the rest, because it's going to be a long 24 hours if we just talk about having no talks.
Yeah, we still have some kind of room for adjustment. So tomorrow we have a retro talk. So if if the problem is resolved and yes, I want to try again, we can see
Yeah.
if we can.
I could also offer to say that we shorten the 12 o'clock break and just move the talk to 12 o'clock. And if we have everything fixed by then, because like if we don't fix this within the next 10 minutes, then it's probably going to be a little bit late. But we'll see. Like a few minutes is fine. And so what does the StreamYard chat
They're
say?
just thanks for your message. Someone is
Thanks
on
for your message. Enjoy the Black Friday weekend or the Thanksgiving weekend, and we will be back to you on Monday when the conference is over. Oh, that's useful.
Okay, I will leave my guest state.
Yes,
And I will
Christian,
go back to
yes,
my
you
old
will
state.
go back. So
I will
basically,
be remembered.
Yep.
yes.
Uh,
Yeah, so this since this is not loading, so the thing we can just try is to that you quickly go into the test room, and I'll go to the test room on the other machine to see if you show up on that. In theory, this should work. And I'm now entering the test on the. Oh, that's Kristen again. Hey,
Hey, but the real one, no.
the real
real-
Kristen.
Not guest Christian.
of the guest Christian. Well, you have to wear a mask, so I'm not Christian.
Exactly.
You're not Christian. Oh, this is this has happened quite often to online conferences that in the like for the first talk something went wrong. I also remember, like for the first EuroPython we did, we still did that on Zoom. That the first talk wouldn't work, so that Mark had to talk for like half an hour at least to just pass that time. And so, to anybody else who is organizing online conference like this, there's this thing called backup recording that you can play when the speaker doesn't show up or can't show up, because he does. Yasser is really trying hard to come in here and do this with us.
I remember one year the speaker was here early, like he got all the setup things ready, but then he fell asleep. He's the slot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking on the other computer if somebody is coming into the test room, and I see nobody coming into the test room either. So let's see what happens here. We have a few more comments, and we have many people like. This is exactly like we wanted languages, and I'm unable to read the name, but
looks Greek to me.
It looks very Greek to me, and I am so sorry that I cannot read those letters. Right. So what's going
for
on
example,
here?
Now we have the speaker that comes after Yasser, and
we have Mirko, and we can see our
Mirko as well.
Mirko is at least that is all working. So it's probably something. Well, of course, Yasser is from another continent, so it is a little bit more difficult to get in from other places. So there might even be filtering on the internet between him and us. So that's a possibility. And he's in Dubai. Oh, that is probably why it's not working, because the census might be sitting here and saying, "Oh no, you can't live stream for some reason."
Yeah, right.
I
think that there are some blockages. At least I have unrelated to conferences, other things that there are some blockage from IPs from Dubai as well.
And
so
Mirko is offering to restream him. Actually, we're going to Mirko, if you don't mind, I'm just going to add you to this technical discussions on how to get this working. Good morning.
Hi everyone.
Hi. Isn't this a fun day? Like.
Yeah.
technical.
It's
So you have a connection to Yasser that we don't have.
maybe I can set up a Google Meet with him, and then I can stream him via OBS. I can took the my output video feed, and then I can stream him via the OBS video camera.
Were you able to see him and listen to him
I
on
can
the
set up
breakout?
a Google Meet in 2 minutes.
Okay.
You want to?
We're totally up to trying this if this works. And I'll just say that if it does not work, then we'll invite him to either do the talk at 12 UTC today for half an hour, so that people who wanted to see that, including me, get to see this, because asynchronous programming, and especially asynchronous database programming, is a very interesting topic. And some people might really want to learn more about this, and especially get the experience of people who have already done this. Because I've been playing with Fast API a little bit, but I've never had an asynchronous database in the backend.
Okay, so it seems like Yasser will give a try to another browser even before we jump straight to the, I think at the side transmission.
I like
option.
that. I will be back soon. I just saw that story.
Yeah, but is it fast? Is it blurry
can't
or
hear
it's myself that I cannot see it well? No, it's blurry.
Yeah, it is interesting. So we are learning more things that can go wrong, and basically what we should be doing is to consider that some people might be in areas where internet connections don't work like we expect. Or something is wrong with the computer. And of course, there's the VPN thing. You could also always, if you have it, try to connect through a VPN, which might lower the video quality. But if there is any filtering going on, like on a normal connection, then that could help as well.
But I'm curious and literally curious. Like I see many people saying hi in the chat, but I really want to know from where they are joining. So please share where you are joining. Don't worry. I mean, if you don't want to disclose your current location, it's fine. But maybe you can give us an idea.
Which country or which continent?
Exactly. Which time zone? No, whatever. We try to guess the country as well.
We are probably been able to set it up.
Nice.
Just a few seconds.
Cool. Thank you very much, Rico.
So that is interesting.
Okay, we have something. Just a second. Just a second. I need to switch the monitor, but it's a dummy one. Okay, we have it.
Wow, do we have sound? Good morning. No,
can you?
We have no sound yet.
We cannot hear him. Maybe you can, Mirko, locally, but we cannot hear him.
When you're sharing a screen on this, you have to click on that you share the audio as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I can send to your screen. Just a second.
Can we make it like this? No. Sorry. Can I swap? Yes.
Okay. You can swap.
That
this
one.
is better. Like Inception now.
But yeah, when you share Mirko, you need to select not to share the browser completely. You need to share a Chromium tab. And then when you share the Chromium tab, there is a check mark that you can say share audio as well. So you need to do it only with a tab, so you can.
Or you hold your microphone to the speaker, but I think that will not work either.
Application capture from Google Chrome. Can you try?
No, there is no audio yet. Maybe we need to go one level deeper, and now within the Chromium, we need to start another call.
Yeah, or maybe Mirko just has to repeat everything.
No.
That would be really like.
Live translation, not even translation. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but
Maybe
I mean,
via window capture. Let's try that.
but in any case, I mean, I know that it's maybe we still cannot hear you, but still, if it's stressful enough, don't worry. I mean, we will find another slot for you to give a
I
talk
think
and
I think
everything.
the best bet is to we can resolve this issue backstage,
Yeah.
maybe on the test room, and then
Yeah,
have
that
Yasa on the
I-
next line.
at this point we are
Yeah.
so far in the time that we have only 10 minutes of official time left. So I think if that's okay with Yasa, we'll try to solve this in the back end, and we'll have you on at 12 o'clock. Is that okay?
Will be in like a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's so I'll just.
You can
check
maybe
on
say yes or not.
12 o'clock
Like,
UTC.
oh
Well,
no, we lost him.
And I really hope that Mirko's going to be back.
I wasn't able to set it up. It's not working. I was able to hear him, and I was also able to hear you all too, but it's not working.
Well, I think the best solution to the problem is if Yasa is okay with it, to say we'll just say 12 o'clock UTC, 1 o'clock Spanish time. I don't know the time in his country at the moment, but by then we can then ask maybe Choke or somebody to test with him in the test room to see if we can get the whole thing to work. And if it does not work, maybe just do a screen recording and we'll play a recording.
Yeah. So
what do you think?
Let me do all this stuff. So maybe you all chat with Rico, and I would.
And
it's
Yasa also says
Mirko's
like
time, so yeah.
So there's like 2 hours time. So yeah. So Yasa, if you just record it, and we'll then for everybody who came here today to watch this at 10 o'clock, it's just going to be 2 hours late if we have the recording, and we'll just play that.
Yeah, we'll announce it again, like when we have the recording. We'll put it.
When we will, of course, we will announce again. We will tell you. It's going to be on the webpage as well.
He confirmed already that.
Yes,
thank you very much, Jasper, for that.
And upload in Drive, super. So. See, this is gonna, and the good thing is, like, I've got like 30 minutes time to make this possible because we have Lisa on as a host at 11:30, so I can then come back at 12 and make it possible that we can see Yasa's talk, because I want to see it now. I wanted to see it before, but now I really want to see it. Okay, so Mirko, where are you located this morning?
Where?
Where are you calling from? Which country are you in at the moment?
I'm in Italy, Monza.
Oh.
So it's warm, right? It's warm and nice.
Not so warm and nice. It's quite cold at the moment.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, for me, it's like I travel like from Berlin earlier this week to Barcelona, and I feel so warm when I arrive. I have to take off all my jackets.
Well, it's almost time for Mirko's talk then. We only have like a couple of minutes. And
yeah, exactly. We can just have like a friendly talk for a few more minutes and then just go into. We should actually be starting the talks on time for those people who actually wanted to see a special one. We don't want them to be disappointed if the talk that they wanted to watch is suddenly not showing, because that's not nice either. So let's see.
So maybe we can. I will make a banner, maybe.
Yeah, and it's like, so if you came in here to see Mirko, then you have 7 more minutes to get prepared and to get some kind of food or whatever you would like to see. And also, if you have some questions about Kivy, which is a framework that you can write mobile apps on, as far as I understood it. Then
Not only.
not only, but it's going to be interesting to see. I tried this for an Android phone app like a few years ago, and it's probably gotten a lot better by now. So we got breaking news, Toby.
Maybe you can do the whole like report. Oh, so we have some breaking news at the moment.
We have some breaking news. The asynchronous database talk will be asynchronous, and it's going to switch to be a recording. Well.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm also really interested into listening to your talk, Mirko, because I have been watching Kivy closely. Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Getting some ideas to use. Because I also use another framework, and I work in another framework company, so. But they are not sponsoring, so I will not say it.
No, exactly. they could have sponsored. They could have sent you there. They could have sent you for a talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't do it. Oh wow.
So I guess that I will kick myself out the stream, go for a cup of coffee to enjoy Mirko's talk.
Yeah, but it's very easy to find where you work, Christian. We can go on Twitter and find you, say it there in your bio.
Yeah, but then you need to do the extra mile. So I will not say it.
Yep.
Sponsoring.
And everybody who wants to see Christian again, you can see him again in recording form from 3 o'clock UTC this afternoon, and then again in person from 9 o'clock UTC. So by then you should be refreshed from your coffee.
Yeah, and I will drop by at some random moments in case we need to have more conversation and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. If we have to do another panel on why things are not working, yes.
Feel free to come at any time. I think people will be happy.
It's time for Mirko's talk. So
we'll closely segue into that thing. And another thing we have here is, of course, for those who just joined us, we have our very nice upcoming music, but I'm not going to play this now. We still have 4 minutes to fill. So let's maybe I just have to make sure that I can turn off the ticker when we are done with this. Mirko, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Yeah, it's already included into the slideshow. So
okay. So maybe then we'll do this in the slideshow. But how long have you been working with Python? Probably that's not in there, right?
7 years.
7 years. Why did you start with it? Is there a special thing that made you start with Python?
Well, actually, by accident. It was an accident. I needed to use Python for a product at the office, and then I loved it, and so I started using Python basically every day. Looks like I also have an issue. But
I can see a screen with no slides. Yes.
Yeah.
But there's slides. It looks like a slide. That's good. So you've gotten into this by accident. So was that when you were working for a company?
Well, it was while I was working for the company I still work for.
Okay.
We needed to create a demo. We had a library which was already written in Python. So I quickly learned something about Python and wrote a script that you can use the library. And then I loved it, and I continued with Python. I was writing PHP 7 years ago, and I won't go back.
That's nice. Yeah, I think it's always good if at a company you have kind of a choice of tools, so that if you have something, you can just use it. Because there are other people who do not have the choice of tools, and that's why they don't get into things like Python. For me, it was also a happy accident. So that's what happens if you start with this, then you fall in love with it, and then you get deeper and deeper into it, and then suddenly it becomes your favorite tool. Right, we have 90 seconds to go, and then we are back with the schedule. And you can always follow the updates of what's going on here on the Pyjamas Live webpage, and you can also join the Discord. I'm going to take this ticker off and put the other ticker on, which tells you the Discord link again, and also reminds you that if you have signed up for a ticket, you can also use the raffle to win a hardcover Python book from one of the later hosts. So that's it. And at this point, we've had enough fun with technical problems. So really have to say that I'm sorry that we couldn't deliver the first talk yet, but it's going to be there back at 12. And now at this point, I'm really happy to invite the next speaker officially. It's Mirko. And so today we're going to learn about Kivy, a cross-platform Python framework for GUI apps development. And I'm really interested to see what kind of cool things you're going to show us with Kivy today. So if you don't mind, I'll put your slides up on screen and let you start your presentation. So here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we are here today to talk about Kivy, the open source Python app development framework. With Kivy, you can build and distribute beautiful Python cross-platform GUI apps with ease. But let's start with something super easy. Who I am? I'm Mirko. I'm based in Monza, Italy. As my PyCon IT 2022 badge says, from Monday to Friday, I'm full stack Pythonista. And during weekends and evenings, I'm a Kivy core developer. I'm not alone at Kivy. We are a group of 8 core developers at the moment, quite widespread all around the world. We are from Europe, India, South Africa, and USA. But that's a real Kivy team. Yeah, we have a lot of contributors all around all the repositories for the Kivy organization, and we also have the opportunity to have some sponsors and supporters via Open Collective. So really thank you, contributors, sponsors, and supporters of Kivy. You are doing great. But let's start with some history about Kivy. Well, I guess we can consider this commit as the Kivy body. So Kivy is more than 12 years ago. But everything started from a project in which Tito, which is Matteo Viabel, was already working at that time. 15 years ago, so a lot of time. Kivy is made for today and tomorrow. Novel input methods such as multi-touch have become increasingly important. We created Kivy from scratch specifically for this kind of interaction. While the statement has been added quite a long time ago to our documentation and still look fresh, even with the most important things may have changed meanwhile, as the framework evolved with the text itself. Okay, Mirko, I got it. But why use Kivy every day and why we should care about it? Well, Kivy is cross-platform, so you only have to write once, and then you can deploy anywhere, almost anywhere. Well, almost is iOS, Android, macOS, Linux, and Windows. And also, Kivy is fast. Time-critical functionalities are implemented inside them. And also, it's GPU accelerated, obviously, when it makes sense. And we also implement intelligent algorithms to minimize costly operations. Kivy is mission-friendly. Kivy is released under the MIT license and is 100% free to use and is professionally developed, built, and maintained. Companies and individuals, like the one I work for, the company, are using Kivy for their projects every day. Well, Kivy makes Pythonistas happier. because as a Pythonists, we are open-minded, so we are probably good to switch to another language to develop mobile text GUI apps. But if we can just avoid that, I think we all have a super smile on our face. Kivy has a complete toolset. Kivy is the visible part of the aspect. Well, I was in Rotterdam this August, and I needed to write some slides for Kivy. I needed to explain to people that Kivy, the part you are using to making your UI, is only a part of the Kivy ecosystem. And a lot of tools under the hood make that possible. So let's have an overview about the toolset. I have what I call Bean cross-platform on one side and the packaging part on the other side. The Bean cross-platform is Pyjamas, PyObjects, Plier. And on the other side, we have a Python for Android, Kivy OS, Kivy SDK Packager, and Bulldozer. And yeah, we have also other nice projects such as Addressing and Kivy. But let's start with the first part of the toolset. Pyjamas. Pyjamas is a Python module to access Java classes as Python classes using the Java native interface. Wow, Mirko, I'm writing a Python app. Why I need to use Java? I don't want to use Java. Well, sometimes, usually when you are making Android app development, you will find yourself to integrate your Python app with something exposed by the Java API. As an example, something exposed by the Android API or a third-party library, like for example, OpenSignal. So with Pyjamas, you only have to import the autoclass helper, and then by using the autoclass helper, you have access to the underlying class in Java, like the example shows. And similarly to Pyjamas, we also have PyObjects. PyObjects is a Python model for accessing Objective-C classes as Python classes using the Objective-C runtime reflection. So, like Pyjamas, PyObjects is for macOS and iOS, and you can use it to access Objective-C classes from Python side. And as the example shows, you only have to use the autoclass helper to get the NSAlert class, and then you can create an NSAlert object and show it, like the example. So you can run your model from NSAlert in your Python app. Plier. Plier is a platform-independent API to use features commonly found on various platforms, notably mobile ones, in Python. So import Plier, plier.tds.speak, welcome to Kivy. Well, TDS is text-to-speech, and if I run that script on my Mac, it actually says, welcome to Kivy, a loud voice, without any extra dependency needed. And similarly to text-to-speech, we have access to accelerometer, audio recording, barometer, battery, Bluetooth, and so on. You can check the full OS list compatibility at kivy.github.com/kivy/plier. And it leverages Pyjamas and PyObjects when needed. Packaging. We have Python for Android and Kivy OS. Both are packaging tools for Python apps on Android and on iOS. With both, you can create your own Python distribution with the needed models and dependencies and bundle it into an APK or a B or into an app which is able to run on iOS. So the question might be clear. So it just copies my dependencies and coding on artifacts that can run on Android or iOS. Wow, unfortunately, it's not that easy, at least for us. Why is not that easy to package on Python mobile app? Under the hood. We need to package a Python interpreter that is able to run on Android or iOS. We need to start the Python interpreter. Non-plain Python packages are not available on PyPy for Android or iOS. On iOS, we are required to statically link everything on the main executable, and not everything is available on iOS and Android, like subprocess. Subprocess is not available and not usable on iOS. And data scientists love libraries with Fortran. And no, Android doesn't have apt-get, and no, iOS doesn't have Brew, and many more issues. How we manage to fix it. And yeah, we can do better, and we will find later how the whole Python community goes. Well, the only thing you need to know is the one with my emoji and the robot. So able to change, I need to build my app, which has these dependencies, and then the chain starts to build it. And okay, let's do that. It's building. So then the simple part. Under the hood, we are building a NOS Python 3 and a Python 3, which are of the same Excel version. And then plain Python packages are just pip installed via host Python on the site packages folder of your app. And non-plain Python or libraries like OpenSSL, yeah, we use recipes. Recipes are basically a set of instructions which are able to cross-compile things to place them into your app and get it running. Then everything, Python 3, Python packages, the libraries like OpenSSL, SDL2, are packaged along with a bootstrap, which is SDL2 for Android or WebView or Service, and on iOS we have SDL2, along with your code and assets into an artifact. Kivy is the key packager. Kivy is the key packager, builds macOS Kivy app, which could be used as an alternative to standard installation or as a skeleton to package macOS apps. It also builds Kivy dependencies for Windows, such as SDL2, Glue, and Angle. And it builds the Kivy packages for the Ubuntu PPA. You will probably never find yourself using Kivy SDK packager directly, but it's doing a lot of great things under the hood. Bulldozer. Bulldozer is a tool for creating application pages easily. With one single bulldozer.spec file in your app directory, which is describing the application requirements, Bulldozer will use the spec file to create a package for Android, iOS, Windows, macOS, and Linux. So you only have to write in your CLI, Bulldozer, Android, debug, deploy, run, which means, hey Bulldozer, please build an Android artifact in the Mac mode and deploy it on the device and run it. Well, unfortunately, currently doesn't support all of the above mentioned platforms yet. Android is fully supported and uses Python for Android under the hood. macOS is partially supported and uses Kivy SDK package under the hood. iOS is partially supported and uses Kivy iOS under the hood. On Windows and Linux, some help is wanted, but the alternative is Spy installer as documented. I'm quite sure that Linux people are fine to pip install everything, so we probably never need a packaging tool. macOS are really near to a green check mark, and iOS may need a reward, as we found out that Xcode is really helpful during development. I'm also using Xcode doing Kivy iOS development, and the user may not want to complete this stake on Bulldozer, so we need to make some changes. Finally, visible part of the iceberg, Kivy. Well, something easy. Installation. How we can install Kivy? Pip install Kivy. Easy and effective. We also offer alternative installation methods such as Sconda, or you can build it from source, or you can use the Kivy app on macOS and the Ubuntu PPA. We also provide selectors via pip, so you can even decide which dependencies to install. You can install the base dependency, the media, or the development dependencies, which have PyTest. And on Windows, you can also select to use GStreamer, Angle, SDL2, and Glue. Architecture. Kivy abstracts basic tasks such as opening a window, displaying images and text, playing an audio, or getting a video feed from a camera, and so on. That makes the API both easy to use and easy to extend. Most importantly, it allows us to use specific providers for their respective scenarios in which your app is being run. As an example, on macOS, Linux, and Windows, there are different native API for different core tasks. So if I need to access the camera on iOS, I will use AView Camera. If I need to access the camera on Android, we are going to use Camera X, and so on. The Kivy design language. Kivy allows the developer to create a widget tree in a declared way and to bind widget tree in a declared properties to each other or to callbacks in another manner. It allows for very fast prototypes and agile changes to your UI. And it also facilitates separating the logic of your application and its user interface. Well, as said before, I use it to write PHP things. And in PHP, you will probably find yourself to write a lot of things into single file, and then it's completely a mess. Well, so please use the Kivy language when doing Kivy development to separate your logic from your user interface. And like the example shows, we have creating a box layout in Kivy lang and then placing a label and a button in it. Events are important when developing an app with Kivy and also with other GUI frameworks. One of the most important base classes of the Kivy framework is the event dispatcher class. This class allows you to register event types and to dispatch them to interest parties. The widget, animation, and clock classes are examples of event dispatchers. And event dispatcher objects depend on the main loop to generate and handle events. So we have the Kivy main thread and then the Kivy main loop. The Kivy main loop takes the inputs and then the event dispatcher dispatches the event to the interest parties. And sometimes you may want to schedule something with an interval or only once. And you can do that via the Kivy clock. So from Kivy clock, import clock, and then I set up my callback, which in this time only shows, hey, hi, at this date time, and then I schedule an event with an interval every 10 seconds. Well, by scheduling this event, I will have on my console, hi, at this date time, every 10 seconds, and I can even cancel that event. Widget events. A widget has two default types of events. Property event, if your widget changes its position or size, an event is fired. And we also have widget-defined events. Like an example, an event will be fired for a button when it's pressed or released. Properties. Well, at Kivy we have numeric property, string property, list property, order property, boolean property, and so on. These properties implement the observer pattern, and to use them, you have to declare them at class level. Like the example is really important. A lot of people are not doing like that, and it's not working. And they help you to easily manipulate widgets defined in the Kivy language, automatically observe any changes in dispatch function code accordingly, check and validate values, and optimize memory management. And yeah, each property by default provides an on_underscore property name event to the scaler whenever the property state value changes. And if you want a piece of code to be called when a widget post property changes, well, you can just bind a function to it. Like the example explains it well. Layouts. Well, we are a UI framework, so layouts are important. At Kivy, we have entry layout, where child widgets can be entered to top, bottom, left, right, or center. We also have box layout, where child widgets are arranged sequentially, either a vertical or horizontal orientation. A float layout, where child widgets are essentially unrestricted. And relative layout, grid layout, scatter layout, stack layout, and page layout. But let's look at the canvas. Each widget has a canvas. It's basically a place to draw on. The canvas is a group of drawing instructions that should be executed whenever there's a change to the widget graphical representation. And the canvas before and canvas after groups can be used to separate instructions based on when you want them to be executed. And you can add instructions either from Python code or from the Kivy file. And if you add them for the Kivy file, the advantage is that they are automatically updated when any property that depends on changes. In Python, you need to do that by yourself. And what the example shows, we have a box layout, and inside with this box layout, on the before group, we are creating a right-rounded rectangle. And then we are placing a label which says hi in it, which is full wide, and then we are placing an ellipse on top of it with the canvas after group, which is a blue ellipse at half the alpha value. we also have a lot of non-layout UI components by default, Button is included, like accordion, action bar, bubble, button, camera, carousel, checkbox, image, slider, spinner, splitter, video player, even a video player, and a virtual keyboard, and so on. We also have a Kivy community maintained garden, yeah. But it's not that kind of garden you need to water, it's that kind of garden you need to maintain. And our garden is full of flowers. Kivy Garden is hosted at github.com/Kivy Garden. And Kivy Garden is an organization for developers of Kivy widgets, add-ons, and related software. As we have some example, ZBarCam is a real-time barcode and QR code scanner which is used in the camera. It's built on top of Kivy and works with both Python and ZBarLite. And we also have Map View, which is a Kivy widget for displaying interactive maps. It has been designed with a lot of inspiration to Libet, Champlain, and Leaflet, and Graph, and a lot of flower. Feel free to check it out at this URL. Freedom. Well, why freedom? Because Kivy provides the breaks, as seen previously. Our community, a garden full of flowers, but you can even do more. Yeah, because you can create new widgets and customize existing ones. Even if Kivy comes with its own set of icons and its UI theme, there's no need to stick on it. I'm doing a lot of app development with Kivy, and we are doing a lot of custom widgets and custom UIs. And these are 3 examples from our community. One is taken from the wiki and one from our gallery. And yeah, you can check out what Kivy users are able to achieve at kivy.org/gallery.html. But let's talk about the future. Well, at least some thoughts about it. Well, I started working on to improve the documentation. Unfortunately, I needed to stop as other things took the priority to the lead. But it's still something we have to do, and mostly readability, because the documentation is quite great, but it needs to be searchable and a little bit better for our community. And we need to involve more the community through meetups and live streams like this one. And yeah, it's a pinky promise. A lot of people are questioning about it. We need to improve the support for Arabic or Hindi. Unfortunately, I'm not able to read or write Hindi and Arabic, so we need some help, but we probably found someone which can help us. And some dependencies of Kivy are also getting an upgrade to support it. It's a work in progress. I was actually working on that last week. We need to update the camera API on both Android and iOS. I started from iOS, where I'm doing a lot of changes, and then we'll probably switch into getting some updates to the camera API for Android. And yeah, as said before, together is better. We need to involve the whole Python community in order to making aware of mobile platforms. As if you are Python package maintainer, which is not a plain Python 1, but as something that needs to be built and compiled, please get in touch with us. And if you need some help to get your package to mobile platforms. So maybe our recipes are getting to be easy to create, easy to use, and easy to maintain. So please get in touch with me if you have a non-plain Python package and need some help to get it on mobile platforms. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pyjamas, for the opportunity, and I hope you liked it.
Yeah, thank you very much for showing all this. And of course, it's quite interesting. And I've got one question for this.
Yeah.
When I looked at Kivy, I saw a few years ago that there was a virtual box image that you could get, so that you wouldn't have to get all the setup right to deploy apps on an Android phone. Does something like this exist? So like if I only know Python, but I'm bad at getting all the other setup ready to deploy an app. Is there a virtual image at the moment?
Well, the virtual image doesn't exist anymore, as we had a lot of issues to maintain it. Considering that Kivy US, Python for Android, and Bulldozer are also able to run on pipelines like GitHub Actions 1, you can use that if you want to. But it's quite easy to use Python for Android on Ubuntu or other distro on Linux, and on macOS for developing Kivy US applications. It is also quite easy to install. So.
Okay. So I think I'll have to have another look at this. There are many things where Python is not so good in, and one of these things is like developing mobile things. So it's really interesting to see how far you got. And also, I really like that you had the iOS on the list as well, because if you're developing something that only works on half of the phones out there, then that's of course a thing where people might think I'm not going to even look at Kivy, because I'm not going to be able to run the code I wrote on an iPhone. So it's
running. I have some production apps on both Android and iOS. Scheduled in the marketplace, so no issues even with the marketplace. As said before, as an example for iOS, you need to statically link everything, because Apple doesn't like dynamic modal library. So if you we have been able to statically link everything, and now it's working.
So if people want to get into Kivy, where's the best place to look for help? If you think, oh, I've tried this and now I'm stuck with something, how can I chat with other people?
We just updated the website, and now the website on the footer we have a couple of links, one for Google Groups and one for Discord, where we have a lot of support channels and a lot of people. We are probably making a change on Discord to support forums, but it's quite interesting community.
So which of these two is the more active one, or is it just half and half?
Both. Kivy on Google Groups and Kivy on Discord. I'm on Discord, but a lot of people are replying to the people on Google Groups. Try.
Do you also collect feedback of people using Kivy in the wild, so that you have like a little showcase of what people have been doing with it in the last years?
Well, we have our gallery. People are encouraged to send pull requests to our website, so we can update the gallery. But yeah, we probably also need about the future to involve more companies, because I think that a lot of companies are using Kivy. Sometimes I look at LinkedIn if someone is using Kivy, so to get in touch with them and get them into Kivy, to support us. And so
I think it would be useful to just get more people interested in that by just showing, oh, these are the cool things we've done with Kivy. And especially if you're a company, you say, oh, I did something with Kivy and I've been using it for a year or two, and it's really stable and we really like it. Because if you're deciding on what frameworks to do or what to use in the future, that's what you're looking for as a company, to say, oh, I've have something that's been around for a longer time, and that has proven, and that there are people saying, "Oh yeah, I love this so much. You should be using it as well." So this was really great. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you on some of the other Python conferences, maybe in person. And I'd love to chat to you about this a little bit more. And if anybody else has questions for you, how should they contact you? Oh, I'm freezing? No, my picture was frozen a little bit. If anybody else has a question, how should they contact you?
Via GitHub. I have some links in GitHub. I also have a website where I have my my email, or you can get in touch with me on Discord on the Kivy server.
Okay, so thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the conference. See you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And there we go. So that worked well, and I hope you liked learning about Kivy as well. And we are now back on our schedule. If you've been with us from the beginning, as you've seen, we had technical problems with our first talk, but it's being worked on at the moment, and we hope to be able to present that to you at 12 o'clock UTC, so that you are not going to miss that talk. And I have our next speaker, Rika, already waiting in the background, and I'm going to add her to the screen now and say hello. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So let me just open my little cheat sheet. Where are you calling us from?
From Austria.
Oh, that's nice, like a neighbor. as you can probably hear, I'm from Germany, but I'm on the other end. I'm like close to Denmark, so we have 1,000 kilometers between us. But that's it's really nice to be on Pyjamas, where you meet people from all over the world. And I'm so happy that you came here today to help us out and do a presentation. So it's 11 o'clock now, so we are on schedule. So I really like to welcome our next speaker, Rika Horvath. And you brought us something today about command line best practices?
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to add your screen to the screen here. And I'm going away, and I hope that you have a great presentation. And afterwards, if there's any questions, please type them into the YouTube stream or onto our Discord.
Thank you. So welcome to this Pyjamas talk, CLI best practices with Typer and Rich. And command line applications can be quite cool. So if you are as a Python dev, I assume that you work with several command line applications, and perhaps some of them I could like this. Unfortunately, many of the applications which I used to write or write even now sometimes rather look like this. And I definitely don't promise that by the end of this 20 minutes you will be able to write such cool things as Fastero, but rather discuss some of these quite common problems, which, for example, this little script also has, like how to handle error, how to give a very clear message whether the command has been successful, and how to build applications which cooperate well with each other so that we can present the whole workflow. So in order to do that, I would like to introduce 3 tools which I have found very useful. The first one is the CLIG, which is an open source guide for command applications, and it's intentionally language agnostic. And the 2 other things are Python libraries, so Typer, which is a command line framework, and Rich, which is a library for writing or some stuff to the terminal. So a little bit about me. I work for Sorcery, creating code quality tools. We have some VS Code and PyCharm extensions, but here, of course, I included a screenshot from our command line application, where as you can see, it looks at your current Git diff and tries to find and fix some code quality problems in the Git diff. So let's start with the CLIG, so the command line interface guideline. If I have to summarize it in one sentence, it says that command line applications should be human first, but machine friendly whenever possible. And in order to achieve that, the CLIG that gives quite a lot of ideas how to do this. So it is divided into two parts. So in an EPUB format, it's approximately 50 pages long. And it has two main parts: the philosophy, which lists several principles, among those most important ones, human first and machine friendly. And it also contains some guidelines, which is more about the implementation, what kind of options, what subcommands should you define, and this kind of things. What it doesn't contain is code, because it is intentionally language and technology agnostic. So that's what I am trying to add here. So we will briefly go through the philosophy, the basic guidelines, and some of the optional ones, and then show some examples, see how to implement those things in Python. So let's start with some philosophy. All these principles are really around these two big concepts: human first and machine friendly. And in order to be machine friendly, script needs to be, first of all, composable. It needs to work well with other commands, even in CI or in a DevOps orchestration system. In order to be human first, it should have some empathy with that human user. And it's a very useful metaphor to regard a command line program as a conversation, where, for example, if an error happens, then this is an opportunity to tell to the user, who is the other participant of this conversation, what might have gone wrong, what they need to do to correct this. And with that, their next concept is very close to this, the saying just enough. And then there are surprisingly a lot of principles which are useful both for us humans and for the other scripts using our tool. So consistency, both within a program and with other programs, general CLI customs. That's something which both humans and machines like. Ease of discovery is also interesting, and of course, robustness. So the CLI guidelines are divided into two parts, and there are intentionally very few basics, which you should consider whenever you write a command line program, because these are things which occur in every kind of program. And then there are lots of optional or nice to have things. So if you have some time, I encourage you to dig into the CLIG and also to consult it on an ad hoc basis as a reference if you have some questions while developing the command line application. So the very first basic guideline is that you should use a command line argument parsing library. We can already check this because all our examples will use Typer. And this already solved some of the issues we saw in my first not so nice script, for example, giving better error messages if a required argument is missing, providing reasonable help for those arguments and options, and so on. The second very important principle is that you should indicate somehow whether a command was successful or not. So just an empty screen with command finished isn't the best way to communicate. And on how to communicate this, there is a CLI convention, which is the exit code, which should be 0 on success and something else on failure. And then the third basic principle is that whenever you output something, you should consider whether it should go to standard out or the standard error. And if you assume that all your users will be humans actually sitting in front of the computer and interacting with the application that way, then this doesn't seem to be that crucial. But as soon as the output gets piped into another command or whatever, this becomes very important. So let's start with the exit code. And so the principle is on success we return 0, on failure we return something else. And not surprisingly, Typer very nicely follows this convention. So if you reach the end of a command function, or if you return somewhere, then it will exit with the exit code 0. So if an error happens, you explicitly need to exit with raise typer.exit and providing the code. Next point, standard out versus standard error. So the basic principle is that the primary output should go to the standard out, and any kind of other stuff like errors, log messages, whatever, they belong to standard error. One interesting thing to consider is that does this output make sense as the input of another command? So if this command gets piped, do I want to contain this piece of information there? That might help us decide. And here we can see some code examples from Rich. That in Rich we always use a console object to print, and by default it prints to the standard out. And with the standard error equals true option, we can print to the standard error. So in the error handling, we can see these two principles working nicely together. So it is very much recommended that have a common helper function in your CLI program and use this whenever an error happens. This helps a lot with consistency, so to make sure that all errors are handled in the same way, both visually for the users and also for possible other programs to process it. And using such a helper function makes it easier to follow these conventions that the error should be printed to standard error and use a non-zero exit code. So this is a helper function which you can possibly copy and use in some CLI applications. So talking about output generally, not just in error cases, but also if things go well. Here, the CLIG again says the same principles. Output should be first of all human-friendly, and if it doesn't impact readability, we should also strive for machine-readable output. So let's see some more specific examples how to reach this. For example, as first, let's try to display something from a documentation. So text in some human language consisting of some sentences. And if we just use the built-in print as on the left, then you can see that it's not so nice to read because it just gets wrapped randomly whenever we reach the end of the line. And instead, the way I recommend is to use a rich console, which has exactly that benefit that it considers such things for us. And as we can see on the right, it is wrapped at words, and it's much nicer to read. But of course, we not always list the whole sentences. Some output whole sentences. Sometimes what we output is more like list of items, and that's where this story gets a bit more tricky than just wrap it nicely always. If we look at it from a human point of view, wrapping it nicely is again a good idea because we can read it much better. But as you can see at the bottom of this screenshot, if we pipe this output to grep and try to search for all the talks that contain Jupyter, then we already get then we get only a slightly shorter result than expected because we wrap the text. So for this reason, we assume that our output will be processed by other programs for this list of items, it might make sense to make it a bit less visually pleasing, but more consistent, that we can say that each line represents exactly one item. So, and in order to distinguish this, we have used this -- plain flag. And if we look at the code, yes, so we can see that we defined a plain flag, and we used this soft wrap, which is by default soft wrap option of the rich console, which is by default false. And for human users, that is the meaningful default value most of the time. But now, if we set this plain option, then we explicitly set this software wrap to true. This might be a useful approach whenever you have some kind of output where you can expect that one line represents one concept. For example, you are searching for something or detecting some errors or things like that. And the good question to ask is that how is it probable that somebody will pipe this output into grep or WC the shell? And if yes, then you might consider soft wrap or really providing a plain option to have both. So next recommendation is that besides just displaying these items one by one and one item per line, again, we can see the next 3 talks, this time structured a bit other way. So sorry, I included only 3 talks in this example so that it's a bit more visible. And one recommendation from CLIG is to provide this JSON format with the JSON option, which again has the big advantage that it's both human readable and can be processed by several programs. So let's take a quick look at the code, how we have provided this JSON option. Again, so the schema is quite similar to the one which we saw with the plain option. This time, so we provided a typer option, and this time we used the print JSON method of the rich console, which then printed for us some JSON objects. And I would like to mention that this is formatted nicely, as you saw. But if you pipe this into the other command, into another command, it will pipe only the JSON content itself. And one notable difference compared to the plain option is that this time the option has a custom name. This show JSON is the name of the parameter, but dash JSON the name of the option in order to avoid the name clash with the built-in module JSON. So speaking about output, sometimes we have operations which take a bit longer than just displaying 3 small items. And in that case, it's very useful for the possibly impatient human users to give them some feedback while this is happening. And for that, Rich provides 2 great components, status, which is just a status info, and so some kind of text, which you can, of course, also style, and a progress bar. So here I would like to, so here the implementation will be a bit more complex, because we would like, would like to return a generator from our logic function, and then afterwards we process these yielded items in the CLI module. So the basic schema is that first, after we have some initial idea how long this thing might take, for example, we have the count of the imported items, we yield an initial status, and then afterwards, as we process each item one by one, we yield one element for each of them. And then in the in our CLI module, here we can see that we have 2 consoles, one for the standard out, one for the standard error. And first of all, we check this initial status and print a status message of it to the standard error. And afterwards, we start a progress bar, and every time we have processed an item, we update this progress bar, so we advance it 1 step. And this is a quite a nice way to keep our users informed during such a longer running operation. So after output, I also would like to talk a little bit about input. So the CLIG has many different recommendations around it, and Typer and Rich support many of them really well. So for example, providing meaningful default values is quite straightforward with Typer options and arguments, and also you can set up auto-completion. So you will find some examples for this on the site. I will hold that instead here. I would like to talk more about interactivity. So the CLIG has some, I think, great guidelines regarding interactivity, that by default, if a value is missing, don't just show an error, but prompt for it, making the application more conversational and friendly. But of course, if the user doesn't happen to be a human, it's better to, so we don't want to prompt. So we need to check whether standard input is an interactive terminal. And additionally, to make our application more flexible, we should also support some flag. So they mention --no input, which can silence any kind of interactivity. And let's see how we can implement this. So here we have a simple CRUD application with a create function where we create something with ID and description. And of course, the user can always forget one of those. And besides our ID and description, we also have an option called interactive flag. And here we use this possibility from, so two great features from Typer. First of all, that you can define a pair of flags with this slash syntax. So we have an interactive and a no interactive flag thanks to this single parameter. And additionally, we can also define aliases. So this makes our code a bit more readable because we don't need to write things like if no input. Instead, we can just write if interactive. And if we choose this technique, then it's the recommendation is that the very first line of your function probably should be something like that, where we check whether we are in interactive modus, and we are if the standard input is a terminal, and if this interactive flag is set to true. And afterwards, whenever we call a prompt, before that, we can check whether we are in interactive mode. So we have just scratched the surface. I really recommend to consult the CLIG, which is a great resource and contains many other recommendations about how to make command line applications more, both more user and machine friendly, or should I say more user friendly for both audiences. And of course, I also absolutely recommend checking out the Typer and rich documentations. And additionally, you can find a cookie cutter on GitHub. So this cookie cutter Typer rich, where so if you set up an application from scratch, then you already get some of these things which we have discussed. And if you want to add these elements to an existing application, then you might find the examples that this Python CLI examples.dev useful. So you can find the code which we have just seen in this talk there. So thanks a lot, and I'm looking forward to the questions.
You are muted, Martin.
I'll try again. Now you should be able to understand. Thank you, Christian, for coming in. We had a comment on the website about people really liked your ClickDev in documentation link, and we learned a lot of today that people thought about how to do proper command line interfaces. So that was really interesting. Thank you very much. Now, Rika, you are muted for some reason, so let's unmute you. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
So do you work on command line interfaces in your daily work as well? Or
Yes. So we have both VS Code and Python plugins, and also command line application. And I have recently worked quite a lot on it. So we have, for example, added some more interactivity and some rich support recently in the past months.
and did you have some things that you thought were really confusing and difficult about these?
I would say that partly integrating it with the rest of the application is what's a bit confusing, and also things like the progress bar for longer running applications on straightforward. And one interesting thing for us was to figure out what the long running applications operations are in the first place. So what might get on. So actually, I also wrote a blog post some weeks ago for the sorcery blog about or various command line improvements and what we learned on the day.
Oh, that'd be very interesting. Maybe when we're done in a minute or two, you can type the link into the chat, and we'll share it with everybody else who wants to read more about command lines, because it's really something people don't think about that much, and it's always easy, or much easier to learn from people who've done a lot of these things than to invent the ideas yourself.
Yes, I like these tools, and for example, Cookie Cutter also for this reason, because I think that coming up with this would be difficult. If you see it and it looks like, oh, it's so logical.
Yes. Okay, so thank you again. That was very interesting, and I hope you're going to enjoy the rest of the talks, and that we'll meet on some other conferences soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, and at this point, I can take a break because we have more hosts, and I would love to introduce Lisa to you. Hello. Let's see. I can't hear you, but now I can. Hopefully. Hello.
Okay, great. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. It's been a fun morning. Have you been here at the opening?
Oh yeah, since the beginning.
So you saw the chaos we had with the talk.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
So,
I mean, it wouldn't be a conference if there wasn't any sort of tech issues.
No, it's of course, and it's just like it's fun, and we managed to get the thing going. And also, I'm in the background, so after you're done with this, and when you're leading on into the lunch, I'm going to come back, and then hopefully we're going to play the missing talk. But now I'm going to go away and let you handle introducing our next speaker. See you later.
Great. See you later. All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Lisa, pronouns she, her. I'm really excited to be here. This is my very first Pyjamas ever. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So it is super early for me here. I'm literally in bed in my fancy pajamas for all of you to see. But I'm really excited for this talk, How to Talk About Mental Health Without Losing Your Mind, presented by Kai Kachtala, pronouns they, them. And Kai is a tech brand consultant and content specialist. And this talk is really important because we all have mental health. So I'm going to bring Kai to the stage.
Hi.
Okay. Hey, how's it going?
Good, and you?
Yeah, I'm great.
I'm not in my pajamas, I admit. It's like 12:30 here, but
yeah, it's actually like 4:30 a.m. in
oh my God.
Alberta right now. Yeah,
That
it's
is
pretty
impressive.
intense. So I'm going to sleep after this. But
Good choice.
yeah, I'm really happy that you're here. And I'm going to step back and give you the floor so that you can let us know what's up with mental health. And yeah, if anyone has any questions for Kai, you can leave it in the comments, YouTube live stream, or in our Ask Speaker channel in the Discord. So I'm going to step back, right? And Kai, go right ahead.
Thank you. Hi, welcome to my talk about mental health and how we can have a conversation about it without losing our minds. So if you've been on the internet lately, you might have noticed that there's a lot of talk about mental health. And there's also a lot of shit talking about mental health. For example, Tom Holland recently posted a video to announce that he was going to take a break from social media for his mental health, which is a totally valid choice. And he also shared a bunch of really helpful resources in the video. But as a reaction to it, Amy Schumer decided to post her own video mocking him for it. Back in 2021, Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles both withdrew from really prestigious sporting competitions for mental health reasons, and they both faced significant public backlash for it. People were even saying things like, oh, they are letting their country down. And now, depending how old you are, you might also remember how everyone made fun of Anne Heche 20 years ago when she was found wandering around Fresno, knocking on strangers' doors and claiming she was God. The media back then called her a freak. Jay Leno called her crazy on The Tonight Show. And even Rosie O'Donnell mocked her on stage. Or maybe you've noticed just recently how people talk about Amber Heard or speculate about Ezra Miller's or Britney Spears' mental state. Because that's how we as a society talk about mental health, if we talk about it at all. Often enough, it's all hushed voices, talk behind closed doors. There's a lot of leery curiosity involved or simply brutal judgment. But over the past few years, I've also noticed that some things at least are changing. Celebrities are still getting outed for their mental health struggles. That still happens. But what's fairly new is that more and more celebrities have started opening up about their mental health by choice. Many famous people are talking about their battles with depression and anxiety. Chrissy Teigen and Alanis Morissette have both spoken up about their experiences with postpartum depression. Actress Annalyn McCord has even opened up about her diagnosis with dissociative identity disorder, which is a particularly stigmatized condition. Now, I'm not famous, but I do share something with these people. I too started talking openly about my mental health experiences. And even without a huge platform, I noticed that that has changed things for the better. And not just for me, but for others as well. My name is Kai, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm a tech content specialist, sidestepping into DevRel. I also run a mental health awareness project called Tabula Rasa. And I'm going to tell you how that came about. So let's rewind to 12 years ago. I went through a mental health crisis that profoundly changed how I interacted with the world. I was 26 when my dad died very suddenly, and instead of things returning to normal after a while, my grief just cascaded into something else. Despite regular therapy, I just wasn't getting any better. I was seeing a psychiatrist at the time who floated ideas such as depression and adjustment disorder, but none of that felt right to me. And finally, I saw a different psychiatrist, and it turned out that I just had undiagnosed ADHD, which then had led to a pretty severe burnout. Grief was just the catalyst for it. The chances are high that I would have burned out anyway at some point. So I got my ADHD diagnosis, I started taking ADHD medication, and I kept going to therapy. And very slowly, very, very, very slowly, I got better. But while all this was going on, I started talking openly about how I was doing. I told friends, acquaintances, strangers. I even talked about it on social media. And I wish I could credit this to some grand idea or noble thought, but the reality is I was just simply too exhausted and burnt out to fake being okay anymore. So when someone innocently asked, "Hey, how's it going?" I would tell them, depressed, burnt out, exhausted. I was not okay, and I wasn't able to hide it anymore. Now, those poor people I had these conversations with had only used the standard greeting phrase, "How are you doing?" But there we were, suddenly having a conversation about mental health that neither of us had planned for. And I saw all kinds of reactions in that early phase. Some people were taken aback, and I understand that completely. But many, if not most of them, eventually got over their initial discomfort and started listening. And then they started talking. People started telling me about their struggles with mental health or shared that they were worried about loved ones. Maybe it was a parent with a personality disorder, a sister with ADHD, a colleague struggling with bipolar, or a child who has OCD. And as they were talking, I often saw relief flood them, relief at not having to keep this hidden anymore, at being able to tell someone, to talk about it without fearing judgment. Somehow my sharing was empowering other people to open up as well and ask for help and seek support. I'd give it what advice I had. I'd point to resources, recommend therapists and psychiatrists. I'd clear up misconceptions, or simply provide a listening ear and understanding. Sometimes that's all I could do. But I also started to notice how very little people often knew about mental health. Even now, 12 years on, with the media covering mental health topics more and more, there is still a severe lack of awareness about both mental illnesses and neurodivergence, such as ADHD and autism. There's a lot of misinformation, assumptions, and stigma attached to it all. Some of the misinformation can at least be entertaining. In the early days, when I told someone I had ADHD, they asked, "Oh, does that mean you need a lot of attention?" Because it's attention deficit disorder. And I was like, yeah, I do need a lot of attention, but that's entirely unrelated to my ADHD. So that was funny, at least to me. But other times The lack of awareness can also lead to really hurtful actions. Someone once very loudly asked, have you taken your meds today? And I don't know if they did this thoughtlessly or maliciously, but they did it in front of a group of people. And I was very uncomfortable in the situation. It's one thing for me to be open about my diagnosis, but quite another thing for someone else to weaponize that diagnosis against me, or perhaps even out me to other people. But these things happen whether there's a diagnosis or not. Sometimes it happens without a diagnosis to be weaponized. I recently was watching a reality show, and this guy asked his girlfriend, what's up with you? Are you bipolar? Because she was having mood swings, I guess. First of all, that's not something you should ever say to anyone. But additionally, he was also dead wrong, because those short-term mood swings are actually even a symptom of bipolar disorder. So we've got stigmatization, assumptions, and misinformation all rolled neatly into one. I do think the media is to blame for a lot of this, but we who consume the media, who arguably are the media, we're to blame as well. For one, there's a general language when talking about mental health. We talk about mental illness rather than mental health experiences, which is what I personally prefer. It's often suffering from mental illness rather than living with a mental health condition. It's committed suicide, which assigns blame rather than died by suicide. But we also throw mental health disorders around as insults. We armchair diagnose celebrities. We blame mental health experiences for bad behavior, and other times we use them as excuses for bad behavior. We make fun of symptoms and mock people who exhibit them. So how do we do better? As we established already, not talking about mental health is probably not the way. So we need to find less harmful ways to talk about it. We can work to create an environment where talking about mental health becomes a safe option, where people don't feel judged, misunderstood, or stigmatized if they open up about their mental health experiences. And one of the easiest ways that everyone can contribute is by using inclusive language. I know it sounds deceptively simple, and you're probably thinking, Kai, how on earth are the words I use going to help? But Desmond Tutu supposedly said, language is very powerful. Language does not just describe reality. Language creates the reality it describes. And I totally agree with that. I think language is extremely powerful. It's one of our main ways as humans to communicate with each other. And the language I use when talking about certain things is going to tell you where I'm at. Just imagine, for example, you're queer, but not out, and you're talking to someone, and they say, ew, that's so gay. You wouldn't want to come out to this person, would you? I mean, they wouldn't feel safe to you. And similarly, we should also never use mental health conditions as adjectives either. Just like we know not to say that's okay when we don't like something, we should also learn not to say someone is so bipolar just because they were upset with us. And don't call someone borderline just because they treated you badly. We need to think of better words that actually describe what is happening rather than using mental health as a lazy shorthand to describe everyday behavior. If we're regularly calling other people crazy, psycho, lunatic, bipolar, manic, delusional, etc., we're stigmatizing mental health conditions and their symptoms. And then we're surprised that people are having a hard time getting help and treatment for their mental health. Meanwhile, changing our language is actually quite easy once we set our mind to it and become aware of it. For example, someone's crazy behavior can simply be described as irrational or unpredictable instead. The thing with language having power is that language almost always gives us an alternative we can use instead of the hurtful thing. We just have to put a little effort in. I also often hear people downplaying mental health conditions and symptoms, and that's not helpful either. Once, while I was in the middle of this pretty bad burnout, I overheard someone say, "Oh, I was so burnt out last week." And that took me aback for a second. Did this person mean to imply that they cured their burnout from last week to this? Was I taking too long? Was I doing something wrong? Was I doing burnout wrong? Or was I just being overly dramatic when I could barely manage to make myself a cup of tea without becoming completely exhausted? As everyone who's experienced burnout knows, there's no such thing as temporary burnout. If you were burnt out last week, I have really bad news for you. You will still be burnt out this week and the next. Burnout isn't cured in a week. It takes 3 to 5 years, in fact, to recover from it. So what this person did was take a serious mental health concern and use it to explain a fairly regular human experience, the feeling of exhaustion after a long week at work. So what could they have done and said instead? For example, they could have said, I was so exhausted last week, much more than usual. That doesn't downplay burnout, and they're still able to say how they're feeling and be taken seriously about it, which is also important because mental ill health encompasses so much more than just diagnosable conditions. It's also important to distinguish individual symptoms from a diagnosis. You can really like order without having OCD. There's the difference between having a depressing day and being depressed. You can be bad at reading social cues, but that alone doesn't make you autistic. So when people borrow established diagnoses as a shorthand for how they're feeling, it blurs the lines between a fleeting experience or emotion and a diagnosable mental health condition or neurodivergence that can seriously impact a person's life long term. And that too makes it harder for people who are affected to seek help and treatment, because to them it seems, oh, everyone is struggling with the same things anyway. They don't realize that their situation is different or more serious. So when I explain what ADHD is, people often react with, oh, but everyone has procrastination issues. And that dismisses the struggle that someone with ADHD is facing, because their procrastination issues are serious and heightened. So if someone tells you they have trouble concentrating because of their ADHD, please don't downplay that by telling them that you sometimes get distracted too. And unless you actually have OCD or suspect you do, please don't casually say, oh, I'm so OCD. Instead, consider turning it into, I like it when things are organized. As I mentioned before, mental health experiences are also often used as an explanation for bad behavior. See Ezra Miller's recent news headlines, for example. Or, like in Amber Heard's case, they're used to slander someone's character. Often enough, mental health also gets blamed for mass shootings rather than blaming the patriarchy, toxic masculinity, racism, and lack of gun control laws. These narratives inextricably tie mental health to bad behavior. And that is entirely unhelpful for people who have gotten those types of diagnoses. In my case, the mistaken assumption that ADHD meant I was a stage hog was fairly harmless mischaracterization. But the way the media has vilified Amber Heard while constantly underlining her BPD diagnosis is severely stigmatizing. And I bet it doesn't make it any easier for people who also have a personality disorder to be open about it. I do understand that humans often have a need to look for reasons for all kinds of behaviors. But when we brand perpetrators with a certain mental health condition, that also stigmatizes the condition itself. If someone who has a personality disorder happens to be violent and we start talking about that as if that's inextricably connected, then all people with that same personality disorder will be confronted with way more stigma because the public will assume they're also violent. Of course, we don't have any direct control over what the media and other people do, but there are things we can do to counteract these stigmatizing conversations. For one, you can change the way you talk about mental health and make sure you separate it from bad behavior. You can stop buying, and these days, most importantly, stop sharing media that stigmatizes mental health conditions and equates them with bad behavior. And if you're feeling really, really brave, you can even start calling others out when they talk that way. All I'm asking you to do is to stop fanning the flames. It's so easy to be part of the solution and not the problem. And it's something that you can do whether you've had run-ins with mental health experiences or not. If you personally have had mental health experiences or are right in the middle of it, then please consider talking about it if you're in a safe position to do so. Be careful not to trauma dump. That's something I probably wasn't really aware of when I initially started talking about my mental health, but it's something I try to be conscious of now. What I often do now is I leave out the super gory details of my trauma and focus on the effect it has had on my life instead. And these days, I also don't randomly hit people with the topic when they're just saying hi and asking me how I'm doing. But when you find yourself in a conversation about mental health, that's your chance to bring your experiences to the table. It's an opportunity to clear up misconceptions and shine a light on people's prejudice. It's a chance to educate. And those who were previously clueless about mental health will hopefully walk away from the conversation with more awareness and more knowledge. But what's really important is that you sharing your story will be even more meaningful for those people who are also struggling with their mental health. it might just make them feel a little bit less alone when they see you're just like them. And maybe they'll feel empowered to get the support they need. And maybe they'll even find it in themselves to speak up as well at some point. These kinds of conversations can happen in person or online, but if it's not safe for you to share, then please don't. I can never emphasize enough that your safety comes first. Personally, I find sharing to be a really powerful thing. I might have started doing it by accident because I couldn't fake being okay anymore. But when I first noticed that me being honest and open about it helped counteract the silence and the misinformation, it felt kind of amazing. And I wanted to do more than just tell my own story. So in 2016, I set up a mental health awareness project called Tabula Rasa. The idea behind it is to wipe the proverbial slate clean and remove the taboos by interviewing people about their mental health experiences and sharing those. I believe the best way to create awareness and destigmatize mental health is to create room for conversations about it, which is what I want to do with Tabula Rasa, and is also what I try to do in my everyday life. I'm keenly aware that our society still isn't very well equipped for dealing with mental health stuff. Even just hearing about it can be extremely uncomfortable for most people. But staying comfortable never changed anything, has it? So, I don't know, let's all do our part and start talking about mental health without losing our minds. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kai. Let me just make sure that we're both on the screen. Great. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Kai, for your presentation. It was really great, really thoughtful. I love hearing people's journeys with their mental health. We all have mental health. You know, I know that I've had my fair share of mental health issues and things. And it seems like your journey has led you to some really great insight and places. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
No problem.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, I bet. And I've always loved that Desmond Tutu quote around language and power around it. And I have a question about that. So I think one of the things that some of us struggle with when we become aware of language and its power is like, how do you best call in someone who uses like non-inclusive or ableist language? What does that look like to you? Like, what is your go-to sort of tactics when you want to tell someone, you know, hey, that's not cool?
I mean, it depends on the environment, of course, but just last week, someone I work with used on Slack, they used the word lame. Mm-hmm. So what I did was just be like, oh, by the way, lame is a pretty ableist word, just FYI, in case you didn't know. So I always assume lack of knowledge first, rather than going straight in with, you know. But even after I've spent a lot of the past years learning to call people out gently, and I'm still nervous about it. It's still scary. I don't know why. It shouldn't be. Like, you're pointing out that someone is doing something hurtful. It's like, you're standing on my foot. It shouldn't be offensive. You know what I mean? If I tell them they're standing on my foot, but it's still always a bit scary. But yeah, I try to go gently, and I've also learned where to like call my losses and just not die on that uphill battle. Sometimes some people, I will not be able to change their minds. Maybe the third person after me will be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's part of mental health too, like knowing where your limits are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like there are some times where you need to just choose your battles. And also, you know, like when you're calling out or calling in someone, it's so like you're basically telling them how to treat you.
Or like not even you in some cases, because so what I like to do is I like to call out things that don't affect me in this kind of ally idea that the people who aren't affected, like I'm queer and trans, so I hope that other people are going to speak up against transphobia. Well, I'm going to speak up about some forms of ableism that don't affect me personally, because it's always less emotional if you're not personally affected. And I feel like it's my job to, like, we split the emotional labor kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah. But It's always scary because also it always feels like you're interrupting a conversation. So it's like conversation, ableism, conversation. And you're like, I should answer the actual question, but I should probably also mention that thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. But it sounds like it's part of the work of just being a good human being a good ally.
You'd hope so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, ask you more questions, where
Yeah.
can they? Mhm.
That was on my last slide, but didn't show long enough, I guess. I am the grumpy NB everywhere, pretty much. Tabula Rasa is at tabularasa.org. That's tabula with 2 O's. And yeah, I've got a link tree for the grumpy NB setup, so you can find all links to me and to Tabula Rasa there. Feel free to contact me, and if you have any questions you're not comfortable asking, like in a public forum like this, please feel free to get in touch.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kai.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to meet you as well.
Yeah.
I added you on LinkedIn. I was really excited to meet you, and I hope we can stay connected. And
Absolutely.
I hope this talk brings more people to all of the work that you're doing. And yeah, so
I really hope so. I'm very grateful that a language-focused conference decided to have me do this talk. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Okay, so that was Kai. I hope everyone enjoyed Kai's talk. So up next, we have Yasir, who was supposed to be our first presenter, presenting on async databases. And so, yeah, it was really great to be your session host. I will be back for round 2, but I'm going to go to sleep first. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lisa, for helping out. That was very good of you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. I will be back.
Yes, later in the day, and then a bit more refreshed.
Yes, exactly. Definitely. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you later.
Okay, hold on. There we go. I've been in contact with our first speaker, and it seems to be a bit more difficult to get the video of his talk that we could not show you at the beginning, to get it here right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to show it in a later block, and not immediately now. Because then we'll have enough time to check that everything is fine and make sure that you get to see it. Just stay with us and we'll update this and update the schedule as well. So at this point, this is then the end of the first block. And just before I go away, I'll remind you, like as you can see at the bottom now, the breaking the talk has been rescheduled. But of course, I'm going to click on the other one, which is the links to our Discord and the link to the chance to win a book, and of course the schedule, which we'll update as soon as we can to show the rescheduled talk. So now, next up in the schedule is a 1-hour lunch break, which you have deserved after staying with us for such a long time. And then in 1 hour, we'll be back with a talk about using animated data stories in Jupyter. So that's going to be something to look forward to. And now you'll have a chance to relax for 1 hour, get some food, and then come back to us in an hour.
you.